All right, guys, good morning. Make sure you guys grab a paper and pen. Again, this video is going to be recorded for you guys to rewatch about 2 or 3 times. Like I've always mentioned to my students, make sure you guys are watching this at least 2 or 3 times. That way you feel comfortable and pick up on where you left off and you remember these notes because, these notes are gold. And make this a little bit bigger for your viewing. Have you ever lost a deal and thought it was about price? But deep down inside of yourself, you felt like it was something else. In today's video, Sal Cosentino, will be breaking down one of the most misunderstood dynamics in sales: mistaken identity and imposter syndrome. Yeah, mistaken identity and imposter syndrome. Eh, And how they silently shape objections on both sides of the table. Remember, there's two sides of the table, or four sides to the table, two chairs across from each other. Whether you're a sales rookie trying to build confidence or a seasoned professional, just navigating clients, enterprise clients, off the street clients, cold call clients, this conversation will not only change how you interpret objections, authority, but also the buyer's psychology. Let's get into it. Sales isn't about persuasion, right? It's more about budgeting, it's more about timing, it's more about competition. They're about identity. If you ever felt small in a big deal or wondered why confident buyers suddenly stall, stay in this call. Don't move. I can guarantee you're going to learn. Remember CEO, cloud architect, and trainer? Sal Cosentino. And I've been doing this for a long time. You know, I've created my own notes. I didn't need ChatGPT to create this stuff for me. I can edit if I want. I can do whatever I need to do in order to change my design, change my layout. Like I honestly, to this day, do what I got to do it, right? And again, I can make it how I feel like I want it done, right? And the best part about it is I don't need a language model or as they say the GPT, right, which is stands for a pre-trained transformer, right? As that imposter, right? So generative, pre-trained transformer. And for anybody here learning today, you're going to learn a lot from me. And you're going to learn a lot about prospects. And you're going to learn a lot about cloud architects. And you're going to learn a lot about training. And you're going to learn a lot about sales. And sales could be anything. Sales is infinite, right? It could be car sales, Right? And this is what we're going to talk about today. It could be real estate. It could be insurance. It could be network. It could be high ticket sales, right? So it could be an infant and etc. We seem to, you know, um, focus on a few things, especially when it comes to how the identity, the mistaken identity, right, and how the imposter syndrome quietly drive a lot of sales. And this is again on four sides of the table, but on opposite sides of the table, right? So you're two chairs opposite from each other, two physical people. And for us to physically and clearly break this down is we have to break this down into two parts. And what is mistaken identity in sales? And in sales, the psychology mistaken identity happens when the rookie seller misidentifies themselves. I'm just trying to sell something, and this is instead of I solve business risk and impact. The prospect misidentifies vendor, right? Vendor instead of strategic advisor. A seller misidentifies the buyer, gatekeeper instead of risk protector. Mistaken identity creates friction, right? Mistaken identity creates defensiveness, and mistaken identity creates objection, right? So the internal narrative here is how it shows up in a sales rookie to the prospect, right? So they're smarter than me. I hope they don't ask something technical. And these are internal narratives. I'm going to show you the internal narratives because the internal narratives that make sense. And you can learn this in any college, you can learn this in anything, but it doesn't matter. The focus is on your prospects and calling them and doing 5 to 10 calls a day, even 30 calls a day, up to 30 calls a day, 8 hours a day. I've seen it happen. Sales are infinite, right? Internal narrative, you have a narrative about I put the page number at the bottom here. All right. Etc. The internal narratives. Okay, they're smarter than me. I hope they don't ask something technical. I need this deal. I shouldn't push back. How does that appear to a prospect? And I'm glad you asked because you're looking at the how the prospect feels when we're talking to the sales record, right? And the prospect will say, this seems expensive. Well, that to me is over explaining. You can discount too early. And these are some you'll kind of see and avoiding these tough questions and accepting weak objections and not even challenging the buyer, right? So the prospect goes, this seems expensive, right? And this is how an imposter driven sales rookie would act. We can maybe adjust pricing or remove some features. That makes sense? Does this make sense? And in that narrative, what happened? They assumed that they were the problem. They accepted the buyer's frame. They reduced that authority that I talked about yesterday. How does a sales professional show up? Like, you could be the top performer experiencing imposter syndrome, but they manage it differently, right? The internal thought here, the narrative is this a large enterprise client? They have a strong technical team. This is a large enterprise client. They have a strong technical team, right? It, like, instead of shrinking, they reframe these sales professionals. I bring perspective. I solve problems they cannot solve alone. I'm here because I earned it. And this is where they experience that imposter syndrome, these sales professionals, right? So not just the rookies, it's also the professionals that's that get that experience from it, right? Even the top performers will do it. So instead of shrinking, they reframe it. So, think about what a professional would say versus the prospect to the prospect. As the prospect says, hey, this is what a professional response would want to look like. And the prospect would say, hey, this seems expensive. Well, compared to what? Your current cost structure or another vendor? The prospect will slow down. And none of the, like, you can have all the money in the world, but I can guarantee you that the professional will respond, or the prospect will respond back to, compared to what? Your cost structure or another vendor. They slow down, right? Compared to what? Your current structure, cost structure, and in your tone. Just remember your tone when you're using the tone, right? So your current cost structure or another vendor. 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 So it all depends on the voice and the tonality that you're using it, right? So compared to what? Your current cost or another vendor. Compared to what? Your current cost or another vendor? I feel offended there. Offensive. I'm on the offense there. This seems expensive, even if the prospect is defensive, right? Stay at their frequency. Compared to what? Name, right? You could say compared to what? Your cost structure or another vendor, right? They need to slow down. They clarify. You challenge them more gently in your tonality. You maintain authority, right? Like, there is the thought of, pausing and taking a break and being comfortable, or occupying yourself with something, like chewing gum maybe might help sometimes, although it's rude when you're talking to a customer. But chewing gum beforehand, or not drinking that cup of coffee, right? Especially in that narrative. And then if we were to break this down, for how the professional versus the rookie would talk about it, right? We would obviously want some pointers from that, right? And this becomes a powerful topic. It's between the rookie and the professional in sales is really knowledge, right? So it's more of an identity, it's more of an emotional regulation, it's more of the authority, right? So just message me the word clear, and I'll send you over a PDF document on that below. If you're interested in a core differences between a rookie and professional, right? So this, instead of giving it to you, I'm qualifying you now. Um, to message me the word if you're interested. You, if this isn't for you, then you know, subscribe. Hit the like. Um, Make sure you add me to your notify, right? For new videos. Maybe this video isn't for you. Okay, no problem, right? Tag two friends who need to hear this. So it seems expensive, right? And I want to bring a role play, and again, like we're still talking about. Remember, we're still talking about mistake identity and imposter syndrome. This is huge, right? And pricing strategy. You know, you need to build executive presence. You need to understand that in a $2 million deal, you're not going to put your rookie in there and say the things that you're hearing today. You're going to go in there and put your 2 million. You're going to put your professional in that $2 million deal, and you're going to want to go in the direction where it's budget driven, it's identity driven. You need to like detect those, especially when it's all about the budget. It's all about the identity. It's all about the price, right? How much is it going to make us? How much do you think I'm going to get paid? These are just objections that you're going to want to ask. But at the end of the day, it's not just about that. It's about the narrative, given that chance, right? Remember, you're not a generative pre-trained transformer. Sales are infinite. Anybody could sell cars with the right mentality, with the right mindset, with the right language, with the right way of saying things, with the right thought, right? And again, when you have that mindset, you know, you have that and this is how sales rookies sound, right? And again, maybe we can maybe adjust pricing or remove some features. What happened there? Even if the prospect says this is expensive, right? And this is how it shows up in a sales rookie. And I swear to God, like even your internal doubt changes, your tone changes, your body language changes, your confidence changes. The prospects feel it immediately, right? That's your internal doubt. This is what changes. The prospects feel it immediately, right? This seems expensive, prospect. An imposter driven, maybe we can adjust pricing or remove some features, right? They assumed they were the problem. They accepted the buyer's frame. They reduced the authority, right? And compared to what? Your current cost structure or another vendor. Does this seem expensive now? Slow down, clarify, challenge gently, use the tonality, right? Tonality, learn your tonalities and learn how you shoot out to your prospects and your potential future clients, especially in million, even a car, even if you want to sell the highest car in the world, car salesman. And I'm going to get to the car salesman examples because today this is all about car salesmen too, right? And again, this is also about car salesmen. This is also about insurance, right? And this is also about that. It's not just about getting the licensing, right? Right. And I'll show you something for car salesmen, right? And where to register. Again, if you are registering in Ontario, you're going through the ONVIC license. That's your Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council. So there's a few things you'll have to do to register. You'll need to get a background check. You'll have to complete the application form online, pass the automotive certification course, right? Uh, and wait till this loads up, and I'll show you right? And again, going through this whole thing and registering and portal logins and knowing how to register first and who's required to register for the Ontario Vehicle Sales Regulator. And you can register. Right now, they're at the Canadian Art Show. If you guys are going there, and again, getting registered as a salesperson, you have to do a few things in order to get registered and not just complete a form online and pass the automotive certification course. So you'll have to go through these portals and expect a processing fee, right? So they'll ask for your driver's license, they'll ask for your Canadian birth certificate, they'll get your court, and then obviously you can go in and you can get your automotive certification courses. You can't just sell a car without it, right? You complete the salesperson application, right? So you'll get the online services portal and you will online account setup. And then this is the number is required if you currently a registered salesperson or register as a salesperson with the ONVIC. You can find your number in the top right corner of the sales registration certificate. Please contact these guys online or toll free. It's a long process, right? So you're not just signing in and thinking, oh, you're just going to get your ONVIC license here. There is a registration for that, and you can do this for others participating in trade, all dealers. If you're a business who trades motor vehicles, if there's a specific business type that you don't have to register, you have your exemptions here that want to get your ONVIC license. For wholesale auction, wreckers, you know, in your wholesale auctioning, your car rental agencies, your non-profit corporation, company, creditors and their agents, insurance companies will get that. They'll get that license. Make sure that they have that license. And again, if you want to consult with legal counsel for advice, you can refer to the MVDMA, which is part of the Ontario e-law, right? So these are some exemptions if you want to learn about the different definitions of what you're hearing and what you're not hearing and what you're seeing, right? So look at this. It's called the OREG 333-08 General, and this is under the Vehicle Dealers Act. You can download the Word document or print. Okay. Um, you know, there are educations. Again, you can get the educations online for continued professional development. When you are registering, right, you need to register and make sure who's required to register and getting registered as a salesperson, getting registered as a business, submitting your application, and after you're applying, right? So retain the copy. So even if I want to, again, I can go in and go to the online portal, right? Welcome to the self-service registration portal, manage the portal. And if this is your first time using the portal, you can select that to register for an online account, right? So you need that registration number, okay? So in order to get that registration number, you need to email and call those people and to get some more information. So if you have the employees that require registration, they have to apply individually. So existing salespersons transferring or adding their license to the new dealership must file the salesperson change notice application, right? And ensure all individual sales applications and salesperson change applications are filed online right after you file the online business, right? So submitting it, all application must be filled online through our online portal. After applying, you must retain a copy of the completed application with all the attachments, and you could check the status, right? And you just, if you have any frequently asked questions, right, you can create your ONVIC portal account here, right? You can create an ONVIC portal account. And then how you create the ONVIC portal account, right? So we can create that through here. And these are the steps in order to create the ONVIC portal account. And I'll save this link here for you guys, right? And to begin the process, you can link it into a new browser. This browser is a different browser. And if you are interested in getting that registration number, you need to contact the ONVIC license at online.onvic.on.ca or call them to require assistance with recovering your salesperson registration number, right? In order to create the ONVIC portal account with the registration number first, and then create the account after, right? So once you create all the fields, your registration number is only required if you're an existing dealer or salesperson. So it's not mandatory, but what we can do is, because it's not mandatory, you don't have that, we can go ahead and create it. Give me 1 second. I'll show you guys how to create this. So I'm going to put my information here, right? I'm going to put my date of birth, and I'm going to move this out of the way. So remember what I said. Once you do all that, it's pretty straightforward, right? And submit. And once I'm done with that, I'll tell you. So once you have that there, you're going to be creating your home address, your middle name, any information that needs to be updated. I'm not going to do this here. I'm just going to do this on the side, and I want you guys to do the same thing. And you're going to put your gender, right? You're going to select your gender, whether you're a male, a female, or other. You must enter at least one home phone, two mobile phone or alternate phone to create the account. So if you are in North America, then you need to create yes. If not, you create no. Create the home phone, give your home phone number. And then if you have another mobile phone, then you would add your mobile phone, right? Any alternate phone numbers, you add those in too. If not, just select no, right? So if you have a home phone, put your home phone and then select no, yes, and then provide a telephone number for your home. If your mobile phone is North American, then select yes. If not, say no, and then put in the provide the telephone number for that. Any alternate phone numbers, same thing. Is it North American? Yes. Is it North American? No. Select no. Since you don't have an alternate number and a home phone, you select no. If you want to put your mobile number, you select your mobile number and you select the yes option. Then we're going to put the home address. The home address is basically a search bar. It's very straightforward. It uses GPS to do that. And if you cannot find it, if they cannot find it, just select the cannot find address. Pretty easy. Right? And I'm going to, again, give you guys the link here to create your own license if you are new to this. And I'm showing you guys how to do this step by step, right? So let's go ahead and put this in here. And this is the ONVIC license, ONVIC, right? And we already talked about Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. And this is provincially. Salesmen or women or other in Ontario or both. There's no other. Both. Or just car sales in Ontario, ONVIC. Again, every province has its own regulation, right? So the regulation for Quebec for a car dealership salesman license, they call that the Corporation de Connaisseur Automobile de Quebec, right? And they're a different CCAQ. And I'm going to uh, give that link out for you guys too, as well. Right. And I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to put that in my notes for you guys to follow again. Right. So just remember onvic.power.appsportal.com. And I'll put that underneath too. But again, this is something that we need to also talk about. Just remember something in car salesman, and this is before I get back to the identity and the imposter syndrome, is you have to understand the differences, right? And each country, even in the States too, in the US also as well too, right? So the USA also supports car sales licenses, and it's a little different, right? But in Canada, but I'm saying like they have their DMV. They call it the salesperson license, right? So they'll have, and then each state will have their own, but is privately owned web that's not owned or operated by any state or agency. And you can get your dealer licensing here, right? And your salesperson license, right? Based on the state. And this all works, right? You can set this up as well for the DMV. And I'm going to put DMV, right? And you can get your license here, right? Car salesperson license at dmv.org. So same concept, right? And they all have their own. You just select a state, right? So for example, I'm selecting Florida, and I have my bill, I have my application that I can start setting up here, right? And unlike some states, Florida does not require an individual to have a special license in order to sell vehicles at a dealership. So if you're interested in this sort of employment, just simply stop by the dealership and complete an application. There you go. A little different in Florida, right? Each state has its own difference, right? Again, there's to each its own, right? Let's see if we can find another province that might be able to help here. So let's go to New York, right? So for example, New York, a vehicle salesperson license is not required for selling vehicles at a dealership in New York, right? So for dealership information, you have a dealers and auto industry page that you can go to, right? And if you're a business selling cars, you have your licensing, that your dealer licensing, they call it, right? You have your salesperson licensing, right? In terms of how that works, in terms of the states that we're in, and the two states that I mentioned were New York and Florida, right? I'm not American, I'm Canadian, so I'm going to be talking about the provinces of the Quebec and the province of Ontario, right? We also have Alberta, we have Saskatchewan, we have Newfoundland, we have Prince Edward Island, we have um, British Columbia, right? So we have that whole and then the territories around it, right? And other provinces that we have around it too. So think about Manitoba, another province, right? So we have their way of doing things. So Manitoba would have one too, right? And Manitoba license also has their own um, mandatory sales certificate program. It's called mmda.mb.ca, right? And this is for Manitoba Dealers Association in Canada, right? Manitoba, right? So we have Ontario, right? Ontario. We have Quebec, different different states, right? Different provinces, right? We have Manitoba, right? Again, you have many other provinces, but again, you just need to do your research for that. Um, so there's that Motor Dealers Association, right? And setting up the member login for that, so that you are licensed for that dealership. And I think they're in Manitoba. They're in Winnipeg, if I'm not mistaken. So updating back to the ONVIC license, I've now created that, and I'm now gonna submit. Okay, I've now submitted. So you're gonna get this, right? Once you've completed the information, and your account is created, and the invitation to the portal will be sent shortly. So once I get that email, I'm going to open up my email, right? You do that on your phone, or you could do that on your computer. Now I'm going to wait. Give me 1 second. Again, as regulators for motor vehicle sales in Ontario, it is mandate to maintain a fair and informed marketplace by protecting the rights of your consumers, right? So enhancing the industry professionalism, ensuring fair and honest and open competition, right? So, just remember that the ONVIC license, once you've updated all that information, the next step is to confirm that you've received your email. So I'm just waiting for the email to come. If it's not, check the junk. Right? If it doesn't come, don't worry. It takes time. May take a couple more minutes, but again, you can always check back. Check your junk mail. Make sure you don't have it in your junk mail. I'm going to check another form here. 1 second. Looks like to translate there you go there. So it looks like this. I'm gonna double click here, and I'm now gonna bring you guys the email, right? So you guys will see that email, and you've been invited to the ONVIC registration portal. So from this portal, you can submit applications, you can view registration status, and view dealership information, right? So all you need to, and this is based on the ONVIC registration. So you can go to the portal, and there's my invitation code, and I can now create a password. Just remember, when you're creating a password, some of the sites have different password strengths and different password um, uh, rules, right? Like we did yesterday when we applied for the Aurea site, the My Portal. You have to ensure that portal is compliant to what their systems in place, right? Especially their Power App portal. So when we go to the portal now, we're redeeming the code. We've redeemed the code now. And in order to redeem the code, I need to put in a password. So I'm going to now go ahead and create one. And I think I created one already, but if I didn't, I'm going to now use one of the ones that I created, a simple password anywhere you want. And I'm going to use this. It hasn't given me an error yet, so I'm just going to use this for now. And let's register. And read the terms of use uh, set forward below. By accessing, you're downloading materials from this site. You can agree to accept or abide by these terms, right? And then changes to the policy terms and conditions, right? Read the policy, consent, and disclosure. Just make sure you guys can read that. A lot of the times people just skim through it, don't read it. But just remember, read the copyright, the ownership, and use of intelligence. This is all important stuff. So When you have time, read it. If not, again, save this page, save it, and then you can read it at another date and time, right? Agree to the terms. And the portal itself is designed to hold your information. So in here you can actually add your profile, your applications. So you'll have your applications, you'll have your dealerships and branches, right? That you need, your legal entities, right? Your legal entities. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, back to your education invoices, certificates. If you need your certificates here, your event registrations, your invoices, if you need some invoices or have some opening invoices, inquiries, right? Open cases, right? And, you know, events, ONVIC events, if you want to join some of these ONVIC events, very important for you guys. You guys can also check that out here. And you can do month to month or even year and, check out the years to see when they have that. You can add this to your calendar invites too as well. So this is what the ONVIC license look like. I'm not an ONVIC dealer. I'm not a salesman. I train people how to sell, right? I help people sell. I don't show them how to use this application, right? So, get your you can start a business application here, right? By sole providers. You can create an individual application. You can do the Ontario Business app. You can do the Start application, right? And don't submit the application if you're not appropriately registered or licensed, right? So just remember, don't start an application if you're not registered. So this is what that looks like. All right. If you have any questions, go to registration. Again, get your certificates there. You can submit a complaint form here, the free complaint handling services, right? If to help resolve disputes between customers and dealers, and that happens, right? They want to file complaints. You can file it through that, right? Um, Compensation funds, right? And how the motor vehicle dealers compensation fund is available to car buyers who purchase the ONVIC registered dealer. And it reimburses eligible car buyers who have suffered like from a financial loss. And yeah, that does happen, and then you could check to see if whether or not you qualified or you don't qualify, right? You can download the compensation fund packages, right? Here, very straightforward. And what is the motor, and then you can kind of show that to your students. And again, this is important. So this is a good read if you are signed up or you haven't signed up yet and you want to sign up, right? You can review the different laws here, right, and the different regulations. And this is where you can review the detailed legal definitions and claim areas and claim criteria for your area, right? So this is all based on dealer acts and regulations. There's a criteria for that, so you can you can fill out the form and the amount of the claim that you want to, and then your sworn state of affidavit. Right? Again, this is all here. Right? You can save that. You can get the compensation fund brochure in English as well too, and you can save that and take the steps in order. These are the 3-step guides in order how to do that if you're interested. Right? You can download the claim application on ONVIC or buywithconfidence.ca. Right? And buying a vehicle in Ontario, this will support you on the vehicle buying journey to make sure you're confident and informed. Again, you want to know about dealers and salespersons, registered with ONVIC, it's all here, right? Just take out the name, get their name out here. So, for example, if you want to do a Honda, you want to go Toronto, I don't know, just an example, right? And you need to find out who that person is. Just go based on that. And it will give you all the business names, right? Legal names, and so forth, right? So this will have the information. And this is something you need to do beforehand, right? So again, any charges you'll find here, any disciplines you'll find here, any conditions and registrations you'll find here. And this is the first thing you want to do. And this is the first step in order to going and purchasing a car from a dealer, right? So if they're terminated, again, or inactive, you'll see that dealership here and it'll tell you why and the date. So that's that. That's pretty much the ONVIC dealership regulator, right? So, you know, go ahead and fill out your dealership branches, right? There's no records here. This is actually all pre-populated with information if you are ready to go, right? And you can create applications here. You can request a history. You can see what all the legal entities are here. If it happened to you or it didn't happen to you, you could take a look at the events we showed in the files, right? Change password here, all done, right? Education, right? So education, to be eligible to renew a registration after, all registrants must complete the CPD. So that's a mandatory program that helps registrants stay current with the legal and ethical and consumer protected. So you need to go to the CPD ONVIC, and that's a different link. And I want to show you that. Okay. And it's important to plan ahead for that and must be successful before you even renew your registration. So it's not just easy to be a salesperson for a dealership, right? So, get your requirements, register for the MVDA key elements course, right? To get that and, learn about the course and register, right? The study fees, there's your fees, etc. So it's all here. If you're you're starting into the ONVIC certification course, you'll see this blue label with a yellow circle. That becomes your your patch, and you've done that course certification, right? So it's not like the States; it's a little different. So yeah, that's that, and let's get back to the good stuff, right? So started the portal invitation, right? We've got the car dealership license, right? And we're moving on with information, right? And again, when we talk about you know the rookie and how it shows up in the sales professional and experiencing imposter syndrome and how I'll manage it differently, right? This is the large enterprise client, right? So compared to what your current cost structure or another vendor, right? You need them to answer your questions, right? You have to answer the questions, and it makes sense because because you have to think of it as even top performers nowadays, like in car sales, they experience this, right? Going back to the imposter syndrome, right? They experience this, right? They're generative pre-I trained trans. They're not generative pre-I trained transformers, right? So when like exactly when it shows up in a sales professional, even elite performance experience that is syndrome, and the difference is they don't eliminate it. This is what I want to say. They don't eliminate it, they regulate it. And they don't eliminate it, they regulate it. Top sales professionals understand that feeling intimidated is normal when the deal size increases, especially in car sales, right? And sorry, guys, give me 1 second, right? And you have that they don't let it change their prospects, so they don't eliminate it, they regulate it, right? They understand that the objections are really about the car. They understand about the status. That's what they're about: status, money, decision risk. And in a professional mindset, the customer walks in with long confidence, looking for confidence, right? You're looking for confidence. You're not just looking for a suit and tie, right? Mentions that they've done their research. Maybe they drove 3 other brands already. Internal thought is, yeah, this buyer knows a lot. They might try to control the negotiation. They might challenge pricing. The sales rookie, wait, I hope I don't mess this up. I need them to like me. The professional, how they reframe it. Again, they don't think, they stabilize, right? But they're informed good. My job isn't to impress, it's to guide. And that's the customer walks in looking confident, mentions they've done their research. Maybe they've drove already 3 brands. And the professional reframes it as, hey, they're informed. Good. My job isn't to impress. They've done their research. It's the guide. I'm here because I know this product inside and out. And if you don't know this product, you shouldn't be working here. Get the fuck out. Right? Then you come up with the objections. This seems expensive. Yeah, really, imposter triggered. That's the rookie's reaction. Oh, I'm losing them. Well, we can maybe see what we can do on the no. They move to discounting immediately, right? Your authority drops there. The customer smells it. They sense it, right? These are common car sales objections. This seems expensive. These seems expensive, right? So scenarios. Scenario one seems expensive compared to what? Another model you drove or what you expected to invest? Remember, tonality, right? I'm just telling you this, right? And the scenario one is important, right? And again, internal. Oh, I'm losing. External. Oh, well, right? Right? Then you have your car salesman, your car sales professional, warrior, right? This seems expensive, right? And this is the prospect, right? This seems expensive compared to what? Another model you drove or what you expected to invest? Give them that freedom to answer your question. You're slowing down the pace here. You're keeping a calm tone. You're keeping your tone, right? And that tone, you're keeping it calm. You're maintaining eye contact. You don't defend the price emotionally, right? They bring it back to value now. You mentioned reliability and long-term costs matters the most to you, right? So you have to pay attention to the prospect. Over 5 years, this vehicle actually reduces maintenance and resale risk. There's nothing wrong with that. They're re-anchoring the outcome here, right? You're bringing it back to value, right? You bring it back to value. You mentioned reliability and long-term costs matter most to you, matter the most to you, matter most to you. Over 5 years, you don't have to. memorize this, but have an idea over 5 years, or over 3 years, or over 7 years. Give them the maintenance plan. So 5 years, you have your 100,000 kilometer, insurance. Uh, this vehicle reduces maintenance, right? A lot of car dealerships have plans on maintenance, right? And resale risk. So their plans are geared towards the resale risk. And the resale risk is what matters. And that's something you need to talk about. That's something you need to talk about, right? You need to talk about that. Like I said, when we experience like when buyers experience the imposter syndrome, right? It's mostly part the salesperson's miss. That happens as well too. Sometimes the customer feels imposter syndrome, like a luxury car buyer will think, "Oh, can I really justify this? What will people think? Is this reasonable?" Their objection isn't really about the money; it's about the permission internally. You get it? So, the professional would say most people upgrading into this model, and I've seen this before, right? And over the 5 years, after 30 days, they usually tell me this wish. They wish they'd done this sooner. Yeah, it's normal. They're it's you're de-risking, you're stabilizing identity, you're normalizing it, right? Rookie tries to win the deal here. Professionals try to control the dynamic. And when identity is stable, guys, objection becomes information, right? Not threats. So there's there's a part two coming up late, guys. And again, if this video helped you rethink the psychology and rethink the scenarios, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with someone in car sales who needs to hear this, right? When you eliminate your own imposter syndrome, you stop negotiating fear. You can start operating as someone. That's where the real authority begins, right? Remember, objections are rarely about the service issue. They're about risk, they're about identity, they're about confidence. And the moment you shift from seeking approval to creating clarity, you stop selling and you start leading the conversation. I'll see you in the next video.